Alright, what is up guys? VV back with another video. And today we're going to be talking about a Nami deck. And don't worry, this is not some random Nami deck that who cares about, you know, or no one knows about. But it's actually one that just won a massive 500 player tournament hosted by Bandai in Japan in OP-04 meta. So really OP-04.5 meta, right? Because the ST leaders are out. And man, I'll tell you what, this is a pretty clean list, guys. I did look through it real quick before this recording, and look at the list. 4 it has all 4 of every single card except this 2K counter Apis. And just to read this real quick, you may trash 2 cards from your hand. Look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Reveal up to 1 card with East Blue and add it to your hand. Then put the rest to the bottom of your deck in any order. So just really nice. And it's an East Blue card, so it technically can search up Kaya, but it's probably meant more to be a 2K counter. I'm not sure, though. But speaking of that, notice how there are no 2K counters in the deck outside of Apis and Kaya. it just runs tons of defensive events, of course. So, very cool. So let's go ahead and hop into the list, guys. First up, let's talk about Nami. As an additional rule, when your deck reaches 0 cards, you win the match instead of losing it. Right, everyone knows what Nami does. And then she has a Dawn ×1 effect as well. When your opponent takes damage to their life through the attack of this leader, you may trash 1 card from the top of your deck. It just, you know, that one's kind of not, you're not really ever trying to do that. You don't want to give your opponent any cards. You're trying to control the game, you're trying to make them swing into you, and you're trying to mill yourself to win the game. So we got to keep that in mind. So, in a deck like that, in a deck like Nami, we want nothing but card draw and cycle cards, right? That's how we're going to, that's literally our win condition, right? So let's keep that in mind when we're looking through these cards. So first up, he runs 4 buggies. Let me go through the list real quick. 4 buggies, 4 Mr. 1, 4 Kaya, 4 Zeph, 2 Apis, 4 Love Melody, or Love Beam, 4 Desert Spada, 4 Brick Fist, 4 Deathwink, 4 Impel Down All-Stars. That one's real interesting. We'll talk about that in a minute. 4 Usopp's Rubber Band of Doom, 4 Giant Gavel, and 4 Sanji's Pilaf. I mean, the list can't get any cleaner than that, right? The list is just straight up, right? There's no one-ofs. The only 2 of in the deck is just Apis, and that's just to round out the 50 cards. So, I mean, just a really well-balanced and designed deck that's simplistic and gets the job done. All right, so let's go ahead and start going through the cards. So first up is Buggy. This is a 1-cost, 2,000 power, 1,000 counter searcher that looks at blue Impel Down type cards other than Buggy. Excuse me. It does look at the top 5 cards just like a normal searcher would. Cannot grab itself, but grabs blue Impel Down type cards, adds it to your hand. You put the remaining 4 cards at the bottom of your deck in any order. Okay, followed up by Mr. Bones here, or Mr. 1, Das Bones. This is a Impel Down card you can search up. And this adds up to 1 blue event card with a cost of 1 from your trash to your hand. It's a 1-cost, 1,000 counter as well if needed. Excuse me. 1 cost, 1,000 power, 1,000 counter if needed. This is going to be good for getting back our Spadas, getting back our Impel Down All-Stars, our Rubber Bands, and our Gavels over here. So, important to note that this card actually has a lot of utility, and it's searchable by Buggy. Next up is Kaya. This card is... Excuse me, guys. My allergies are really messed up right now. My apologies. Kaya is not a 2K counter in this deck. Yes, she is a 2K counter, but you are drawing 2 and trashing 2 from her on-play effect, and that is the most important part of this card's, you know, interactions. That is what you're trying to do with this card. You're trying to draw 2, trash 2, get through your deck as fast as possible. Okay. Next up is Zeph, and this is going to be the first way we see of getting Kaya back to your hand. This is a 5-cost, 6,000 power, 1,000 counter character. It has a decent Dawn ×1 effect where when this character deals combat damage or deals damage to your opponent's life, you may trash 7 cards from the top of your deck. Excuse me. That is nothing to look over, because if you play this on turn 5 and they don't remove it, well, next turn, theoretically, you could slap like 4 or 5 Dawn on him and swing, or even just 3 Dawn, right? Swing for 9k, and you're trashing 7 cards from the top of your deck. That's getting you very close to your win condition. However, it also has, on play, return up to one character with a cost of 3 or less to the owner's hand. You may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. Then you may trash 2 cards from the top of your deck. That has dual functionality, right? Yes, you can bounce your opponent's character if you need to, but this is for bouncing your Kaya back to your hand and trashing 2 cards from the top of your deck. So it's getting you through 2 cards. Now he's a threat on the board, and he's bouncing your Kaya back to get more interactions there. Just a very powerful card. Next up is Apis. This is a 1-cost 2K counter, similar to Kaya, where it's really a searcher for Kaya. But you can search up Zeph with this card, Kaya, and maybe a few others. I don't know. East Blue, can it search up? Let me see, up to 1. So you may trash 2 cards from your hand, look at the top 5 cards of your deck, reveal up to 1 card with East Blue, and add it to your hand. So that could actually grab the Gavel. It can grab Sanji's Pilaf. It can grab Rubber Band. Excuse me. And it can also search up, no, not that. But it can search up Zeph or Kaya. And I believe it can also search itself. However, I don't know if you want to use this on-play effect. It's there if you need it kind of thing, but trashing 2 cards from your hand is pretty steep, right? That's a pretty steep cost. But, again, because the idea is, what if you whiff, right? That's like worst case scenario is if you whiff. But again, it's a decent effect if you need it, and it's a 2K counter in hand if needed. Okay, next we have Love Love Beam, or Love Love Melody, I believe it's called. Excuse me. Yeah, I think it's actually called, let me see. Sometimes this website is a little off, but let me see. No, it is Love Love Beam, sorry. Okay, so 2 cost, 4,000 counter, and then if you have 3 or less cards in hand, draw 1 card. So that's everything we want, right? You got a 2 cost 4K counter that's going to draw us cards. That's our win condition. Excellent, 4 of those. Then we have Desert Spada. This is a 1 cost 2,000 counter, but it allows us to arrange the top 3 cards of our deck. That trigger is also very good. Draw 2, trash 1. Excellent, excellent trigger. Excellent. And it's a 1-cost card we can search up with our Das Bones, or get from our trash with Das Bones. Das Bones, I don't know. Next up is Brick Fist. Just 2 costs, bounce of 4 or less, right? So 2 costs, return 1 character with a cost of 4 or less to the owner's hand. Trigger, activate the main effect. Just a nice little bounce ability. But this is also going to be able to be used on our Kaya, right? We can use it offensively or defensively. Next up, we have Deathwink, 3 cost, 6,000 power counter, right? That's a big counter. 3 cost, 6,000 power counter, and then draw cards as you have 2 cards in your hand. So this is a big, how do I say it? This is the counter you want to use at the very end, if possible, if you can hold out for that long, because you want to dump your whole hand using counters here, using counters there, and then you're going to potentially draw up to 2 cards if this was your last card in hand, right? You'll draw 2 cards if it's your last card in hand, or draw 1 card if there was another card in your hand. So very, very solid. And the trigger's is not bad either. Return up to 1 character that costs 7 or less to the owner's hand. That's really not bad. Okay, 4 of those. And then, so this is a really interesting Impel Down event. Pay 1, main. You may trash 2 cards from your hand. If your leader has the Impel Down type, draw up to 2 cards. Well, guess what? Our leader is not Impel Down. Our leader is East Blue. So why are we running this? Well, about 2 or 3 reasons, actually. Number 1, the trigger. Draw 2 cards on the trigger is just, incredible. Just absolutely incredible. Then, the other reason is to use with effects like, no, it's not this one, sorry. It's this one. Like with the Gavel. This lets you, so in order to pay 1 and get a 4,000 power counter from the Gavel, I don't know why it's called Rubber Sledgehammer, but I think it's, let me see what it's actually called. I have it up right over here, sorry guys. It's called Gum Gum Giant Gavel. And in order to activate this ability, you have to trash 1 card from your hand. And then up to 1 of your leaders, is it only a leader? Up to 1, yeah, only a leader will gain plus 4,000 power during this battle. Then you may put 2 cards from the top of your deck into your trash. And then the trigger, return up to 1 character that costs 4 or less to its owner's hand. Very, very powerful trigger. Very powerful effect. This card is just good all around, right? It does everything we need it to. And this card is going very well with Impel Down All-Stars here. Because remember, our leader is not Impel Down. So we can never use this main effect. But the trigger can still happen. We can pitch it or trash it with cards like Gum Gum Giant Gavel. And we can pitch it with cards like Kaya when we have to draw 2 and trash 2. So that way we can draw 2 relevant cards and trash a card like Impel Down All-Stars. So very nice. Next up, we have Usopp's Rubber Band of Doom here. This card, I'm pretty sure that's what it's called. Let me just make sure. Yeah, Usopp's Rubber Band of Doom is what it's actually called. 1 cost, 2,000 counter. Then you may put the top card of your deck into your trash. So there you go. It's just it's getting to our win condition. It's a 2K counter. It does cost 1, but it's milling a card from our deck. We already talked about the Giant Gavel. And last but not least, Sanji's Pilaf. This is a divination if you play Magic. Just pay 3, draw 2, trigger, activate this effect for free, right? Very, very powerful. And like I said, guys, that's the whole list. This is an extremely clean list. There's not much guesswork to do. What you see is what you get. And this is one of the most perfect examples of, don't overthink the situation, right? Sometimes I think people overthink when they're making a deck, and they'll like have a 1 up here and a 2 up here, when sometimes all you need is just a very well constructed deck like this. Just 4 ofs everything and go to it. Not always, but I think you guys get what I'm saying here. I definitely want to hear what you guys have to say about this list and about Nami in general, because I know some people, good friends of mine who cannot stand Nami. People I play with at my locals who just cannot stand going against Nami or the deck or anything about it. They just don't want to play against it. They think it's like, just not fun. I'll just leave it there. Whereas I look at a deck like this and I just think this is so cool and so interesting. Yeah, it probably sucks to lose to a deck like this, right? They're just kind of beating you without even attacking you, right? Literally, you don't attack your opponent because that could give them card advantage. The only card you would attack your opponent with would be a Zeph, right? Because that's going to speed you up 7 cards in your trash. So very cool. Very, very cool deck. Very cool idea. I do actually like the Nami leader, and I will say this. If I had gotten into the game now, just like in OP-03, as opposed to when I got into it in OP-02, I probably would have leaned towards a Nami deck. I just think it's interesting. I think it's fun. I think it's cool. But yeah, I definitely want to know what you guys think. Do y'all think it's lame? Do y'all think it's not fun? Or do you think it's good for the game, bad for the game? Because I do think it's... One thing I will say when I first got into One Piece is it seemed very one-dimensional. As in, hey, I attack you, you attack me, I attack you, you attack me. It just seemed very one-dimensional, which is not necessarily the worst thing in the world. It is a card game. I'm fighting the person across from me, right? Like my leader's battling their leader. But I do like when games have multiple win conditions. And now technically One Piece has 3 win conditions, right? You either hit them when they have 0 life cards left. That's a victory. You win with Nami by milling yourself, or you win by milling your opponent. So there's technically 3 win conditions in the game right now. I do wish there was maybe 1 or 2 more that were just very, along these lines, but maybe a little bit different. That had more to do. I don't know. I don't know how they could change that, but yeah, maybe make a character that mills your opponent. A leader that actually mills your opponent. And this is just me brainstorming. I actually feel like purple should have been that. I feel like purple should have been the deck that mills your opponent, as opposed to keep Nami as the self mill idea, but maybe they should add a purple leader that mills the opponent. I don't know. You guys tell me what y'all think. Maybe that's crazy. Maybe no one wants that, right? Maybe that's something that no one wants to play, or you know what I mean? Something you would not be interested in playing against in the game. It would hurt the game. But yeah, all right, guys. I think I'm going to end it there. I don't have too much more to say. Hopefully y'all enjoyed. Don't be afraid to leave comments in the comment section below. Tell me what you think about this deck. It seems pretty cool to me. I'm not gonna lie. It's a deck I want to try in the future, but I probably won't be able to for some time. I've got 3 or 4 decks on the you know, on the work table, you know, so to speak. Like, I'm working on a deck for Z. I'm working on a deck for Garb. I'm working on a Sakazuki variant of basically both of those decks. And then, like, deep down on my list of things to do is I would love to play, like, a Nami list, and I would love to play an Ace list just to kind of mess around with and have fun with. But yeah, so anyway, you guys tell me what y'all think. Please don't forget to like and subscribe if you don't mind. It really helps out. And yeah, till next time, guys. Peace.